Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time, we started looking into Aryabhata's incredible work on planetary motion.
We did. We sort of set the stage.
Exactly. And today, we're diving deeper right into the heart of it. The Kālakriyāpāda. This is really the instruction manual, you could say, for his calculations.
That's a good way to put it. It's where the trigonometry and his clever correction methods really come alive to show how the planets actually move.
In our last discussion, we sketched out the big picture, the epicycles, the orbital structures that explained why planets seem to wander sometimes.
Right, the apparent motion. But now we're zooming in on the engine behind it all, the actual mathematics, how he went from the concept to, well, calculating real positions.
And it helps to remember the context. We're talking 499 CE, Pataliputra, the Gupta Golden Age. It wasn't just some quiet study.
No, not at all. It was a real hub of activity, intellectually speaking, ideas flying around, art, science.
And you had places like Ujjain, actively tracking stars, building astronomical knowledge. So Aryabhata was part of this bigger flourishing.
Definitely. He was building on what was known, but also pushing boundaries in a major way. It was a dynamic time for understanding the cosmos.
So our mission today is to really unpack how he used math, those sine tables from episode 15, the epicycle models from last time, to nail down where the planets actually were, not just where they seemed to be.
Yes, because having a model is one thing, but making it predictive, making it match reality accurately, that's another level entirely.
And that's the Kālakriyāpāda. These verses lay out the recipes, the actual step-by-step techniques to turn the theory into predictions you could, well, check against the sky.
It's the real nuts and bolts.
Which leads to this kind of mind-bending thought. How do these ancient calculations, maybe written on palm leaves, connect to something like a JPL rover on Mars today, or GPS?
It seems like a huge leap, doesn't it?
It really does.
But fundamentally, both are about the same problem: understanding and predicting motion using math. The geometry, the trigonometry Aryabhata used. Okay, the mathematical language is different, but the core ideas, they're still there in the algorithms driving our tech today.
Okay, let's get deeper into that Gupta computational context then. This golden age, what did that actually mean for science and math?
Well, it was a period of really remarkable progress: math, astronomy, literature, art. Pataliputra was a major center, attracting scholars, sharing ideas. And Ujjain, as you said, was this key hub for astronomy specifically, developing calendars, making detailed observations. It was fertile ground for someone like Aryabhata.
It's still amazing he wrote the Aryabhata when he was only 23.
It is quite stunning, isn't it? At an age when, most are just starting out, he's creating this comprehensive system. It influenced Indian astronomy for centuries and beyond. Really speaks to his genius and the environment he was in.
So last time was the epicycles, the structure. Today is the actual calculation. Moving beyond the description to the how do you figure out where Mars will be next Tuesday?
Exactly. The epicycles gave the why for things like retrograde motion. The Kālakriyāpāda gives the how, the trig, the algorithms for corrections. It connects the geometry to prediction. It lets you put numbers on it.
The Kālakriyāpāda is like the CPU of his planetary system, where the theory gets crunched into actual results.
That's a great analogy. It's the vital link. And its importance was clear even back then. Bhaskar Few, writing about a century later, his commentaries really show how significant and mathematically sophisticated this section was considered.
Okay, let's dive into those calculations. Verse 22, this one focuses on the outer planets, right? Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. What's the instruction there?
Verse 22 gives a specific procedure for correcting their positions. It basically says, apply half the slow and fast corrections first, positive and negative by angle, then full tweaks next.
Half first, then full tweaks. Why do it in stages like that? Why not just apply the whole correction at once?
It's likely about accuracy, preventing overcorrection. By doing half first, you're making a more careful adjustment, like gently steering a car into a parking spot, maybe. Small moves first rather than one big turn that might overshoot.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Like fine-tuning. You mentioned slow and fast corrections remind us what Manda and Yugra refer to.
Sure. They link back to the epicycle model. Manda, the slow one, is about the epicycle center moving along the main orbit. It accounts for speed changes in that main path.
Right.
And Yugra, the fast one, relates to the planet moving on its own epicycle. That causes more variation in speed and position as seen from Earth.
So for these outer planets, with their complex-looking paths, Aryabhata saw the need for this careful two-step correction. using both Manda and Shigra adjustments.
Precisely. And Bhaskar Ego in his commentary actually used a term equivalent to damping to describe this effect.
Damping. Wow.
Yeah, this idea of smoothing out the calculation, avoiding wild swings, it's quite insightful for that era.
That word damping really captures it.
Yeah.
Preventing oscillations. You know, it makes me think of modern engineering, like how JPL guides rovers.
Yeah.
They don't just shove them in one direction.
Exactly. It's small, incremental adjustments. Feedback, correction, feedback, correction.
It's a fantastic parallel.
Yeah.
That underlying idea-controlled iterative adjustments seems fundamental, whether you're using palm leaves or supercomputers.
It really is. It's about managing complexity and refining towards the true value.
So this half-step hack, as you called it, it's pretty clever. It's not just formulas, it's calculation strategy. Does this kind of iterative approach have echoes in, say, modern algorithms?
Yeah.
Like Spotify, learning what music I like.
Oh, absolutely. Many machine learning algorithms work iteratively. They start with a guess, get data, adjust, refine, adjust again. They converge on a better prediction over time. So that core idea of partial adjustments and refining, still very much alive in computing.
Okay, let's move to the real core, it seems. Verse 23. This sounds like where the main calculation for true motion happens. What does this one tell us?
Verse 23 is central. It gives the math for finding that crucial correction angle, the difference between the planet's average or mean position and its actual true position. The translation is something like, scale the sine of the anomaly by the radius, divide by true distance, and find the correction arc, the gap between mean and true planet.
Okay, scale the sine of the anomaly by the radius, divide by true distance. Let's break that down. First, the anomaly angle. What is that exactly?
The anomaly angle tells you how far the planet is along its path from a reference point. Usually it's apogee, the point farthest from Earth in the model. It's basically a measure of its position in the orbit.
Got it. Position in orbit. Then you take the sine of that angle. This uses those sine tables from episode 15.
Exactly. The tables give the numerical value for the sine. Taking the sine turns that angle into a ratio, a proportion within a right triangle in the model. It's how you relate angles to distances, how you project the curved motion mathematically.
Okay, so sine gives us a ratio. Then scale by the radius. Which radius are we talking about here?
That would be the radius of the relevant circle in his model, either the epicycle or the deferent, depending if it's a Shigra or Manda correction. The radius sets the scale, turning that dimensionless sine ratio into an actual size within his geometric setup.
Right, set in the scale, and then divide by the true distance, the karṇa.
Yeah.
You mentioned a GPS hypotenuse analogy. How does karṇa work here?
The karṇa is the actual line of sight distance from Earth, the observer, to the planet at that moment, considering its place on the epicycle and deferent, like the hypotenuse in a triangle. Dividing by it adjusts the correction based on how far away the planet is. A small angular shift looks bigger if the object is closer, right? Karṇa counts for that perspective effect.
Ah, okay. Perspective matters. And the final result of all that math is the correction angle, Manda or Shigra. And that angle is the gap between the simple average position and the real position.
Precisely. That's the key. You add or subtract that calculated angle from the planet's mean longitude, and boom, you get a much more accurate prediction of its true position in the sky. It's how you reconcile the simple model with the messy reality.
You use that analogy, Photoshop sharpening a blurry star. How does that fit?
Think of the mean position as a slightly blurry prediction. The calculation in verse 23 acts like the sharpen tool. It uses the details, the epicycle effects, to refine that blurry estimate, making the calculated position much clearer, much closer to the actual observation.
And like the outer planet fix, this might not be a one-shot deal, right? It could be iterative, like NASA course corrections for a probe.
That's a very important point, because the true distance, the karā, actually depends on the corrected position itself. So for high accuracy, you might need to loop. Calculate position, get karā, get correction, get new position, recalculate karā, repeat until it settles down. Successive approximation, just like refining a probe's trajectory with new data.
And what about that Easter egg you hinted at, this cosmic ping about Earth's curvature in Gupta surveying? How does that connect?
Well, the same math geometry, trigonometry used for planets could be used on Earth. Observing angles to distant points, you could, in principle, use trig to estimate Earth's curvature. We don't see him do that calculation here, but the tools he developed for the heavens were potentially applicable to mapping the Earth, too. It shows the power and versatility of the mathematics.
That's really neat. Okay, so verse 23 is the core engine. Then we have verses 24 and 25 closing out the Kālakriyāpāda. What's verse 24 about? A shortcut, maybe?
Verse 24 seems to offer a different way, specifically for the yugra, or fast correction. It says, from the sum or difference of true and mean positions, take the sign, scale it, and approximate the fast correction in minutes.
Sum or difference. Approximate the fast correction. A different method just for shigra. Why include this alternative?
Good question. It might be a quicker, maybe less precise way to estimate it. Useful for a quick check, perhaps? Or maybe for certain situations. Commentators like Bhaskara, I weren't entirely sure of its exact purpose, but it suggests a kind of practical shortcut might have existed.
Like a leap mode for shigra. That's interesting. Maybe recognizing a trade-off between speed and precision even then.
Quite possibly. It shows a practical awareness of the effort involved in these calculations.
And finally, verse 25. This wraps up the whole section.
Yes. Verse 25 is the concluding statement for the Kālakriyāpāda. It basically says, okay, I've explained time, divisions of space, math, and planetary motion. Next up, the cosmic sphere, the Golapāda.
Time's measure, space's divisions, math, planetary motion. Looking back, it really did cover all that, didn't it? Timekeeping in EP21, orbit parameters in 22, and now the correction math. It's incredibly comprehensive.
It really is. It's the complete package for the mechanics of a system. And that last line perfectly tees up the Golapāda, which zooms out to look at the celestial sphere itself, the stars, the Earth's place within it all.
It's like he's saying, right, we've built the engine and tuned it, now let's look at the whole car and the road it's on. Completing the level, loading the galaxy map.
That's a perfect analogy. Kālakriyāpāda is the mechanics. Golapāda is the cosmic architecture.
It really is awe-inspiring when you think about the lines connecting Aryabhata's work to today. Satellite tracking, Mars rovers, GPS. They all depend on understanding celestial mechanics, using principles with roots stretching way back.
Absolutely. The tools are different, the computers are faster, but the basic challenge, predicting motion using math, is the same. Verses 22 to 24 are like the intellectual ancestors of the algorithms we use now for positioning and navigation. And verse 25 marks the completion of his work on how things move.
And it's not just space tech. We talked about how his sign calculations still play a role in timing things like Diwali. Ancient knowledge, still practically relevant.
It is. Accurate calendars, auspicious timings in many traditions, they often rely on precise astronomy, rooted in the kind of work Aryabhata pioneered.
You even mentioned AI research looking back at these ancient frameworks. That's wild. His logic, his structure might still hold insights for 21st century tech.
It's true. Researchers are always looking for new perspectives, and sometimes ancient ways of structuring problems can offer inspiration. His work is a testament to the enduring power of fundamental mathematical thinking.
Stepping back philosophically, a 23-year-old in 499 CE, modeling the heavens with such accuracy, it's just profoundly impressive. The curiosity, the rigor, the sheer power of thought.
It really is. Without fancy telescopes or computers, relying on observation and mathematical brilliance, it speaks to that deep, long-standing human drive to understand our place in the universe.
This ancient cosmic supercomputer, as you put it, built from intellect. It connects us.
Yeah.
It wires your breath to the cosmos. That's a powerful thought.
It is, because the celestial mechanics he studied govern the cycles we live by day and night, the moon's phases, the seasons. His work helps us grasp those fundamental links between us and the heavens.
Makes you want to go outside tonight, find Mars, and just think about it. Think about the journey of understanding that lets us know where it is.
That's a wonderful way to connect personally. Observing the sky, considering the calculations behind those movements, it gives you a real appreciation for minds like Aryabhata's.
So wrapping up this deep dive, Episode 23 really got us into the engine room of the Kālakriyāpāda. We saw Aryabhata's mathematical genius in action, figuring out true planetary motion with epicycles and those vital trig corrections.
And we saw how that Gupta-era math, remarkably, connects to the principles behind today's technology in 2025. It really highlights the timelessness of fundamental science.
Next time, we're heading into the Golapāda, mapping the 3D celestial sphere, Earth's rotation, constellations. You called it a Gupta VR for the cosmos. Sounds like it's going to be quite the trip.
It builds right on this foundation. It's Aryabhata's view of the universe's structure. It promises to be fascinating, another layer of his incredible insight.
Amazing how these ancient texts keep shedding light on the past and the present. It really shows that knowledge is this ongoing chain, building on what came before. Until our next deep dive, keep looking up and keep exploring.